How you guys doing out there? This is Doug Best from the Doug Best Show, and we got two guests here tonight. And a lot of people have been asking me about real estate, finance, and different things like that. But before we get going, I gotta, I gotta say thank you to all the people who's been supporting me out there, all the people that's been subscribing on YouTube, and all the people that's been following me on Facebook and Instagram. And earlier today, tonight actually, I was looking at Stephen A. Smith, and he was talking about Diddy. And but before, you know how Stephen always get the last word in. He was talking about Linda, how he had 856,000 subscribers. And I went to YouTube and I got 200. I said, boy, Stephen, I'm coming for you, buddy. But I'm like, way back in the back. So I want everybody out there that, I'm going to give you my all. It's a lot of work into putting this thing together. You got to be on the social media for hours, You got to be on there for hours, answering the people comments and trying to do what Marshawn is an expert at, CapCut, which I'm learning. But we finna get going here tonight. This is like the sixth podcast, and in a little while, every time we come here, we getting better and better. And I want to introduce the guests. Actually, you know what I want to do? I'm gonna let them introduce themselves. Marshawn, I'll just call him Mr. G.
Yeah, Marshawn here from MKG Enterprises Corp.
This is his card. I don't know if you can see it.
A local mortgage broker here in Fresno. Been licensed since 2015. Been in the mortgage business for the last few years. But before that, I have a background in taxes and finance. Been doing that since 2009. And we're just kind of just transitioning and keeping up with the times. And right now, I think what my passion is to get people into home ownership and making sure that people understand that the barriers that were in the past is no longer still the same obstacles that you have to overcome into being able to buy a home now. There's a lot of different people you can work with. I have my partner here, Linda, here that we just recently closed a transaction, but it's not always I would say the slow and steady wins the race, but we were able to be patient and persistent, and that's what it takes. You have to be patient and persistent, have a positive mindset, follow the process, and just trust the professionals that's going to guide you from start to finish. And at the end, you will achieve that dream of home ownership. And when, you get those keys delivered, and she knows the excitement and how that feels when you do get those keys in your hand, and you can finally say, this is my home, and this is what you're going to make you happy, and it's going to, it's a transformative process.
Yeah, thank you, Marshawn. Yeah, thanks, Marshawn. Well, tonight this is the Doug Best Show, and we're going to talk real estate, and we're going to break it all the way down to the nuts and bolts. I got this thing up here to show the people that. I'm going to change the camera real fast. I got this thing up here to show the people that I got the real estate license a bunch of years ago, but I'm an entrepreneur. I never even really had a chance to sell no real estate because I finance my own stuff. I develop my own stuff. So we got Linda Peltz. Linda, tell the people who you are, and then tell them, how you're going to add value to their life by explaining to them about real estate, investing, credit, all the different things that you want to talk about.
Definitely. I'm Realtor Linda Peltz. I'm with eXp Realty, and I am with Marshawn, and I do a lot of deals
This is
with
a
him.
card. We're going to put it on a link at the end, and I'm going to turn the camera over just on you, Linda. My apologies.
Definitely. Hello, everyone. Woo!
Show them your card.
Here we go. Give me a call. Let me help you through the system. Where you at? There you are.
Yeah, let me say it. We'll make sure that that the people got the valuable information. Go ahead, Linda. You're an expert.
Definitely. I want to say Marshawn did a great job introducing us, but I do want to say, yes, I am kind of the face of a lot of these transactions, but with that said, I can't do it without a team. And I tell you, Marshawn was invaluable this last one, working through all the kinks and the drudgeries of, slowness and I, hey, Marshawn, I'm struggling getting this taken care of, can you step in and see what you can do? So it is definitely a team effort when we join on these. And the lending is always your step one every single time. yes, get a hold of me, but let me help you guide you through there. And that is get a hold of Marshawn. Let's get some lending going because I
Pre-approval.
can't do anything without a pre-approval. So yes, I am kind of the face of it. Get a hold of me, but he literally does most of the background work and gets all the pre-approval situated, which as much as I'd love to tell you it's a really easy thing, you know, there's a lot of paperwork involved, and he puts a lot of time into collecting that stuff in order to be able to initiate that pre-approval. And with him being a broker, he can do just about any type of loan for your situation. And I can have two identical homes, but the situations are going to be so different that, you know, one loan may not work for one, and one loan may have to go for a different way. And that's where Marshawn comes in. I don't deal with the finances, people. I deal with the physical aspect of the house, and I deal with the contracts, and I deal with, you know, the people as far as the buyers and the emotions and different things like that. He does all the heavy lifting with the numbers and the getting the loans situated, getting them through underwriters. And so it definitely is a team effort. I don't want you to think that I do this all alone, because I can't do it without some great partners.
Yeah, great. Thanks, Linda. And as I'm looking up here, if somebody's out there probably got a question, and somebody's out there that's got a question, and you got a question about real estate. Oftentimes we see where people says, no money down, you finna get rich quick. That's what the Doug Best Show is, to dispel all that BS and let everybody know that you got to put in some work to get the money. So if you got a question out there, you know, just tap in. I'm going to see the question. Then we got experts right here right now. So if you might have a question about, I don't know, a LLC, Marshawn's a master in it. You might have a question about, so how do some guy ask, well, how do I get the money for having an LLC? How do I get a down payment? What's Kamala Rice talking about that $25,000 for the first-time home buyers? If somebody's out there, you on the Doug Best Show now, we talking about real estate, we talking about finance. This is your opportunity. You see some people, the black people, and you don't necessarily get an opportunity to talk to them. I'm not talking about the other races down there. They quit looking at me. But if you out there right now and you got a question about real estate, tap into the Doug Best Show. This is the Doug Best Show. This is a platform for the people. You got a question, tap in and say something, ask, and then Marshawn or Linda or myself can answer the question for you. Go ahead, Marshawn. Talk to him.
Well, you know, I mean, it was a lot, you know, you put out there on the table, Doug, but, you know, I think one of the things
on that gold plate, though, baby.
yes, sir.
Feast.
Yes, sir. And, you know, one of the things that, you know, people have to do when they're thinking about buying a home is that, you know, you have to be in the right, you know, mindset. And what I mean by the right mindset, you know, you have to be able to make a commitment. And, you know, you can't listen to like OPP. Remember that song that came out, You Down with OPP? But we're not talking about that. We're talking about other people's opinions. That's what I mean by OPP.
Okay, we'll get that
so
thing
we're
right,
about
man.
Other people's
Linda, because my
opinions.
mind went way.
Yeah,
so.
you know, we're gonna keep it professional here, but we're talking about OPP. When I say that, I mean other people's opinions. You really have to have a clear mind and a clear conscience, and not listen to other people's opinions, because what you like might not be the same as what somebody else is like. If you see something in a house, somebody else might not have that same vision as you.
Definitely.
And that can also cause conflict with you being able to make a decision to buy. And it can't be based on emotions. You have to look at, you know, all the other boxes that's going to check off to buy. And so, you know, that's one of the first things you have to do. You know,
there is no perfect home out there.
Exactly. And because every home is going to require some kind of work, you're going to find a flaw and someone else is going to criticize. And two, you don't want to sabotage and be your own worst enemy when you're doing a real estate transaction. And sometimes, you know, you have to really step out of your comfort zone and be open to change and letting someone else lead and guide you through that process.
And that does not mean Uncle Bob who bought it 25 years ago.
Correct.
Because they don't know the system. There's a system in place for a reason. And they have to be able to trust the professionals to get them through that system.
And like you said, trust the system and trust the process. And so if you can't have trust, then that's going to already create a barrier and a conflict from the gate. And, you know, there's a lot of things that have changed. Like you said, what someone done 20 years ago, so in 1970, that was an error. 1980, there was the 1980s. 1990s, there was a 1990s time, and so on and so forth. But we're going to take it way back to the 1930s. So in the 1930s,
Don't lose them now.
things was different in the
ABCs
1930s. And what I'm leading up to is back then, you had segregation and you had a lot of other discrimination. What we gonna call it, redlining. So a lot of people don't understand what redlining was. Redlining was basically a lot of people couldn't get a home if they lived on a certain side of town or looked like a certain demographic or was certain kind of people. And so, if it wasn't for the Federal Housing FHA administration and the homeowners loan organization association, a lot of these laws have changed now where now it becomes an equal opportunity. And I'm an equal opportunity lender as well as a mortgage loan officer. And so I don't look at who you are, what, your race, your religion, what your demographics are. I look at you as a customer. And with that, I'm going to treat you with that respect and with that care, because your success is my success. And I also want to get a referral and a good review at the end of the transaction.
Yeah. So for the people that's out there, just listen to Marshawn and Miss Linda. So if somebody's out there trying to get some money, I'm going to make it simple. Marshawn is the man that you're talking to. And so somebody out there, is you trying to buy a house, it's your first time buying a house, you could call Linda, and then Marshawn will help you with the money. So, yeah, Marshawn and Linda, if you can, kind of just break it down so people would understand, what is a comp? So sometimes the people says, what's the comps for that house? The comparisons, that's what they talk. A
comparison is, so each area, you can have two homes, one sitting in one zip code and one sitting in another zip code, and they're going to compare out at different rates. That's because they usually take the last three homes and they compare it, apples to oranges. Maybe one has a pool, maybe one doesn't have a pool. Maybe one has new windows, one has old windows. Maybe one has granite, maybe the other one still has the old tile or has never been updated. So they're going to take the last three homes that sold, and there's negatives and positives applied to that. And then that they kind of divide that out after they apply all these negatives and minuses for all the features that these last three homes sold, compare it to what the home is they're trying to comp out, and then they kind of once they have that all figured out, kind of divide it into three sections, and then that's your comp for this house. And then that goes back over to the lender, and it's called an appraisal. And it's a neutral third party that none of us is allowed to talk to in theory, and that's their opinion. So it's a neutral third party's opinion, and it's called an appraisal, and they use those comps for it in order to determine make sure it's just a verification for the lender that the buyer's getting an okay deal and there's none of this redlining going on. And for one person, it's going to cost more, and for another person, it's not. It's just they don't even know who you are at this point. They're just telling you, yes, this comps out okay for that area, and you're going to be okay. The lender's getting an okay deal. They're not going to lose money on it. Now, with that said, each area has that, and you can put, for an example, Clovis is probably $20,000, $30,000 higher for the exact same home that you could get in 93710 or 93706 or some
on the
of
west
those.
side.
But it's because of how often they sell and the upgrades that's been put into place in a lot of them. It's not necessarily to do with who bought or sold. It's how fast do they sell. So it's the last three. If you haven't sold one, maybe you sold 20 up in 93612, which is a Clovis zip code, but there's only been 3 that sold in the last 5 years down in 93706 of that similar type of home that you bought or sold. Makes a huge difference.
Yeah, so Linda, thank you for that. And then so somebody out there probably got a question, but they just haven't chimed in just yet.
Well,
so,
send them in.
So we need you guys out there. You're on the Doug Best Show, and we got Marshawn Govan, and we got Miss Linda Peltz, an expert in real estate and lending. So Marshawn, since nobody's chiming in, I'm gonna just say it like this: what if you was out there, you and your wife or you and your girlfriend, and she had a 740 FICO score? That's your credit score. and he has like a 620 FICO score, but they got some cash. How would they start off? How would they start off trying to get a house? The first thing. So we want to do just a little fundamental teaching of the people right now.
So it all comes down to
first-time home buyers.
First-time home buyers. So it's all into what their buying power is going to be. It's like when you go to the grocery store, you're going to set a budget on what you're going to spend. You're not going to want to overspend. In the same way with, these two family or two couples, they're going to have a budget on what their affordability is.
So what's the lending institutions? They looking at them?
Well,
do they have a bank account? How long
correct.
have they bank account? Do they just have cash? Some people might just have cash, but they don't have a 2-year tax history. How would they do it? They scared. They don't really know what to do.
So there's a lot of different variables that you put out there, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
But to make it simple, if they don't have a 2-year employment history, then what were they doing before they were working? If they were in school, now you can use your education as employment history.
Mm-hmm.
And also, will that job continue on for more than 2 years? If the job continue on for more than 2 years, then you can qualify them. And you got to also think, are they going to a retail lender or are they going to a broker, a mortgage broker? So there's a difference between a retail and a mortgage broker. A retail, they're going to be like a cookie cutter. If you don't fit that kind of scenario for them.
Example of a retailer.
A
We
bank.
went to H&R
bank.
Block.
Let's say a bank. We're going to say a bank. We're not going to say a specific
London's
bank.
property.
But no, we're going to say a bank. You're going to go to a bank, and the bank's going to have a certain requirement. They're going to say, well, if you don't have a 660 credit score, it's going to be a knockout application. What is a knockout application? If you don't meet that 660 credit score, they're going to send you a denial letter and tell you, come back when you have a 660 credit score.
Come back when you've got it together.
But you don't know the why, the reasons, the variables, and what, was involved on what made that knockout question. But as an independent mortgage broker, I'm going to look at the application. Your score doesn't have to be a 660. I can work with you with a 500 credit score.
And you can get them a loan.
I can get you an FHA loan with a 500 credit score, but the only caveat, the thing to that is
that's pretty low. 500.
You got to put a 10% down now,
okay,
because of your credit, and there's going to be a lot of explanations on why is your credit at a 500. If you have late payments, missed payments, charge-offs, so now we got to go back and go through all that explanations and come up with a plan on how we're going to continue to pay that, or is it going to affect the loan? Is it going to, be a risky loan? So, average 580. If you got a 580, that's the sweet spot for anyone that got $10,000, $5,000. I would say, $15,000 in the bank. When I say that down payment, you can have stocks, bonds, retirement, gold, crypto, as long as it's seasoned. Bitcoin, whatever it is, Tether, whatever, Dogecoin, as long as it's seasoned, we can use that too as your assets for down payment. And, going back to what you were saying, how do you qualify? Mm-hmm. Well, if you either have the 500, 580, or the 620 is the sweet spot to really qualify for a lot of down payment programs. However, we got programs at a 580 with down payment assistance where you're going to get 3.5 or 5%. The only thing with that is if you're going to receive something, it's a trade-off. You're going to pay a higher interest rate. Mm-hmm. With that higher interest rate, it also increases your mortgage payment. So sometimes it's better if you have money to put into a home, then you don't want to go into a home with a negative equity. What is a negative equity? That means you're going in without putting anything down. I got programs for you that was zero down, but there's certain programs.
There's trade-offs for that.
There's trade-offs for that. And so, our USDA loans, perfect, zero down. You put 1% down. We have another one called a CRA loan where it's 1% down with no MI. Mm-hmm. Then I got a blended score. It's like a blender. Which you want to blend something together, what do? You combine the two scores and you come up with a medium.
Yeah, because I think I'm not the lender, but if you have two scores in the household that's going to go on one loan, which one do you have to go off of?
The lowest score. So even if someone is feeling confident that they have a 700 score, your spouse, if their credit is not good and they're not taking care of their credit, and their credit is tanking into the 550s, the 550 is the qualifying score. Unless you don't put them on the application, it might be easier that way. So it's a strategy.
It's a strategy, but getting them the most amount of money. They're both going to obviously be paying that house payment. and okay, the wife maybe has the 740 or whatever, but
Oh yeah, the wife.
but she only qualifies for a $150,000 loan, whereas they need both the incomes. Then it now goes off the credit score, and you're going to be paying a higher interest rate for that lower credit score. But you need that in order to qualify for whatever, a $350,000 house, because you need both incomes.
Yes. So you're on the Doug Best Show, and we here with Marshawn, Govan, and Linda Peltz, and we talking about real estate. So somebody out there might have a question in your mind. We live on Facebook now. If you got a question, this is a perfect opportunity. You know, Marshawn, it's like, you know, the best kept secret in the whole city. Every time I get stuck, whether it's on taxes or whatever it is, I'm looking for Mr. G. This
Mr.
morning I
G.
got stuck. I didn't even know how to go on there and do the cap cut for the little jingle. He made it. Am I lying, though, Lynn? Marshawn is the best kept secret in the city.
Best.
The man know how to get money. So if you need $1 million loan, he can put it together. I'm not exaggerating. People want to know, you know, what are we doing on the Doug Best Show? We bringing stuff right here for you. If you got a question, somebody out there, you know, it might be a husband and wife. You guys paying $1,500, $1,600 on an apartment right now. What is he paying all that money on an apartment for? And we got Linda right here, and we got Marshawn right here, and I got my friend Glenn Anthony Board down there in the South that could help you get a house. That's what the show is all about.
I wanna go back and really just, you know, recap on what you said.
But break it down for him. You know,
you got people that are renting. So the mindset is you're renting. At the end of the month, you're paying someone else's mortgage anyway.
Yeah.
Whether it's yours or someone else's, you're still paying someone else's mortgage.
And you're not getting nothing out of it.
And you're not building any equity. And that's the whole thing about owning the real estate, because you own the asset and you build your equity and it appreciates. So some things that people don't understand is we can customize the loan. So if you are comfortable with paying, what was the monthly rent you said it was?
$1,500.
You're comfortable paying $1,500. I will customize you a loan for $1,500. But does it make sense saying that you can get a loan for $150 and go find a house? Linda knows the inventory is not livable.
We do not have the inventory. I think
I'm building houses. The inventory going up, baby.
Our lowest
The inventory is going up
right now for a lendable home is around that. I mean, the lowest would be somewhere between, low is 300. I mean, there's very few at that range, but
yeah, Linda, let me just cut in
325.
there with you real fast. So if you the average Joe Blow out there, this is a good thing. And you don't know what the inventory is. Then what is the inventory? The inventory is explain it to them. It's not a lot of houses
Inventory that is lendable homes. We do have inventory that you can pay cash for, but who has that kind of cash a lot of times sitting around? That we're talking a lendable home that has passed certain guidelines for these home loans in order to get them from any lender. But Marshawn, these homes have to pass certain guidelines. So an FHA, and I think he can probably talk a little bit more about that, has tougher guidelines on homes, whereas your conventional loans is a little easier on the home itself. But there again, appraisal-wise, okay, it has maybe some pretty good defects in the home, so we're going to price it accordingly to the defects. So it may appraise lower than if it was an FHA and they say, hey, okay, you want this FHA loan on it, I will approve it, or I agree that it's of this value, but you're going to have to fix a few things on here because they're just a lot tougher on the home, whereas the conventional appraisal may come in just a little bit lower because, hey, we're not going to ask you to fix anything on this loan, but we also can't support that price because it didn't compare out, which we've kind of already talked about, comparables and how they compare it.
So we're going to go just a little bit financial literacy, just real simple. If somebody's out there and you stay on the west side and you go over on Eden, or you go over on Myers, or you go over on Halls, and you see those homes, they kind of dilapidated. So those are FHA houses usually, where you can go in there with a small amount down. You don't usually find those houses like that in River Park. True or false? I'm not being discriminatory.
To be more accurate, to make, a more correct statement, Southwest Fresno or Golden West Side property value is always been lower than Central, North Side, or even Clovis because the home value over there is lower. And so with that kind of a area, if I had a buyer in that area that wanted to buy a home, automatically I'm going to say, hey, you can do a 203K loan.
Mm-hmm.
What that is, you're going to be able to get a home improvement loan on a 30-year fixed rate included into your mortgage payment to make it livable and to up to your satisfaction on how you are comfortable living in your comfort zone. You know, so if that house needed $100,000 worth of repair work and it was appraised at 230 and you put 100 into it, now it's after repair value should be 330. However, does the comps in the area support it? So those are where the variables come in at where, like she said, every home is going to appraise at a different value. And FHA is a little bit more stringent because they're going to want you to do the repairs before that loan can get approved. A lot of sellers aren't going to, want to do an FHA loan because their home, it's like saying you're going to buy a car. You want to make sure you buy that car that's going to be at least give you a 90-day warranty. Well, it's not necessarily saying you're going to get a 90-day warranty on buying a house, but at least if you buy this house, your roof ain't going to fall down the next day. Mm-hmm. Conventional is a little different. There can be a lot of things that can, turn the corner, turn the head to the other side.
No safety issues.
No safety issues. They don't got to have a water heater strap. You can have termites just eating at your, so FHA is going to make sure they identify and at least correct those things. And if there's paint peeling, a lot of these homes are older, built prior to 1978. You don't want to have your little kids running around eating paint and getting lead poisoning because that's going to affect their mental development. So you got to go back into thinking when you're buying a home into, Maslow's hierarchy. We're talking about your safety and security, your love and belonging, taking care of home, taking care of family, raising your family and your wife and your kids, self-satisfaction, feeling good about coming home from work, knowing that, this is my home, yard, the kitchen is clean, food on the table, you come home, you shower, you can relax. Those is what home ownership is. And then it also gives you the equity where now you're able to do generational wealth. With an FHA loan, you can do generational wealth because you can pass it on to your kids because it can be assumable if something happens to you. Conventional is not assumable. You can't just transfer it to someone else's name. But with a trust, with an FHA loan, that's what you want to get because it's assumable long as they credit qualify and have the income to be able to take over the mortgage payment and the loan.
So maybe I'm looking here. I don't see nobody chiming in, asking no questions. So maybe we just go to another level. So when I teased the show today, we talked about generational wealth through real estate. Yeah, Mr. Marshawn and Miss Linda, maybe you could just chime in and just explain it in the simplest possible terms. So if my granddaughter out there, which I hope she's out there listening, I hope she's out there, or my son is out there, I hope he's out there listening, or one of my nephews or one of my friends, anybody out there that listens to the Doug Best Show, just break it down, explain what generational wealth is. And we see Bill Gates, we see Elon Musk, and we see the rich people talking about it. But how did that apply to just the average person?
I think probably the easiest way I can maybe come up with to describe it is that house is a bank account. Every time you make an improvement on that house or every time you make that payment and put a little bit more towards that equity of that home, you're putting money into a savings account that you can pass on to generations from here to come. So the more homes you collect, the more bank accounts you have with money sitting out there.
So how do they get it? You said you got to die first and then they get the money?
Not necessarily. We just closed one where
I'm asking the question that way.
The mom came in and bought it with two of the grown adult kids, and their plan is to go in maybe every year or two after they save enough for the down payment again and to buy each one of the kids a home. So not necessarily do they have to die. It just depends on what's the financial plan you put into place to get your kids a home so they maybe don't have to struggle quite as much as you had to in order to get into a home. It's just planning for your future. But basically, these homes are savings account. It's just, where do you want to put your money? Do you want to be living in your car, or do you want to be living in a fairly nice home? So that's kind of the only way I can kind of come up with to make it as simplified as possible is your home. You got to live somewhere. You got to keep a roof over your head somehow. You might as well be investing in yourself and in your own bank account, which is that home. Maybe leave it to your kids. Okay, maybe you do pass on and the kids want to take it over, or maybe they want to sell it and get the cash and buy them 2 houses. Maybe there was 2 kids and they split that and then they go buy 2 houses. Either way you look at it, it's your money. It's just how do you want to pass it on to your children?
Yeah, you're on the Doug Best Show, and that's Miss Linda Peltz. She's a real estate expert. And we're going to go to Mr. Marshawn Govan. Marshawn, I want you to see if you could just break the word generational wealth all the way down. We hear it all the time, but then for the average person out there, they might be thinking, well, generational wealth mean that, that my pop's going to die and he going to have $6 million and I'm going to get the money. Explain what generational wealth is.
So we're going to have to, elevate our mindset, because it all starts with financial literacy. You can't have generational wealth if you don't have financial literacy.
The basics.
So the basics. It's like saying, how someone going to be able to read a book if they don't know how to read? They just going to look at the words and the words going to look funny to them. They're going to be confused. They're going to either, and then you got people that don't know how to read and write, but they're sharp in everything else. They're good with, money. They're good with, hand skills. I mean, they're good at running their business because those are either genetics or attributes that they have that gives them capabilities. Or they watch somebody and they learn from self-taught themselves.
Altitude.
So we have to look at generational wealth as financial literacy. You have to first have the understanding of what generational wealth is to be able to even attain it. Because if you don't, it's an aspiration than an actual attainment. You get what I'm saying? So if you're at home, it all starts with home, at the dinner table, talking with your kids, responsibilities. If you don't have no responsibilities and, able to, be consistent and plan and save, then you're going to have a desire and a dream to get generational wealth, but it's not going to happen. And that's what a home is. A home is a responsibility. And when going back to what I was saying about the OPP, the other people's opinion, that's what sometimes divides and separates people from the haves and the have-nots. Because once you're able to save money and you're able to, buy a home, then you start reaping the benefits, because you're going to marry that house, but you're going to date the rate. And when I say marry the house, it's a relationship, and date the rate. Interest rate changes daily. Every day that interest rate changes, but guess what? When you lock it in, it's locked in for 30 years unless you want to change it.
If it's
when
fixed.
Fixed rate, and when you refinance. But when you when you buy that home and you marry that home and you're dating that rate, you bought it for this price. In 6 months from now, it appreciated. You're like, wow, it appreciated $8,000.
I got
in
more
1
equity.
year, I got more equity.
Account.
That's your bank. It's growing. You getting more money in the home than you is having $10,000 sitting in the bank getting whatever percentage they're giving you on a CD, which is nothing. Yeah. So if a home appreciates, and you could look at time and value. So if you buy a home for $300,000 and it appreciates 4.6%, that's what you're gonna get. If it goes to 6%, and then you multiply that, the next year it goes up even more. So at the end of 2-3 years, you got $100,000
in equity.
In equity. So some people say, well, I'm going to go and buy me a Harley or go buy me, but you can use it for education. You can put it through education, or you can remodel, upgrade, or you can take the equity and go and buy you some more real estate. And it's like Monopoly. So there's different loan programs. If you want to go and put 20% down, go buy your apartment complex. That's going to bring you in $30,000 a month. You put down 20%, you're going to have to pay your mortgage note, which is like $5,000, but you're getting $25,000. Now you having passive income coming in, or you go and buy another home as an investment property. And that's where the business comes in at, whether it's an LLC, S Corp, or, a C corporation, because now you can go and buy 20 homes under that business. If you go to the retail, they're going to say you can only buy so many XYZ homes because your credit, your income. Now we're not even talking about that. We're looking at investment properties, because now you're looking at DSCR, debt service cover ratio, where you're taking that people that are renters, 80% occupied, and they're paying your mortgage for you. And as long as once your note is paid off and you got a $30,000 income producing apartment complex, what you do with your $25,000 at the end of the month is your business, as long as you pay that mortgage payment. But if you're smart, you're going to pay it off sooner, and you're going to duplicate the process. And that's where we didn't get taught those things at home at the family table. That's sometimes even our parents, they done the best they could to raise us, but that's from the old generations and the old ways. And like I say, everything changes with time. There's a different generation and there's a different time. So in the 90s, it was all about hip hop and this and that. And now real estate, interest rates just dropped. What that means is home prices is to go up. So if you bought your home,
they're going to continue to go up. I hate to tell.
And your equity that you have is going to go up. But buying is now because the rates are going to start dropping, and your equity is going to start shooting up out of the roof.
When's the best time to buy? Right now. Because
every day is the right time to buy.
It's going to have more equity in it. When was the best time? Well, 2 years ago. But right now, we can't go back to 2 years. Get it done now. But the interest rate's too high, Marshawn. Okay, well, wait till
marry the house and date the rate is what I say. Because
just
it's
refi
temporary.
It when the rates get better.
You can always refi, or you
because
can do a buy down.
Because the equity is going to be building every day.
Somebody out there, somebody might be out there just thinking, hey, man, do I have to go to a real estate broker? I see all this stuff on TV where they said that the real estate brokers and the real estate agents are charging me 6%. And I said, well, I could just go talk to the owner. I'm being the devil advocate right now. Somebody's out there is probably looking. They probably got a question in their mind. They're saying, well, why would I pay a broker? Why would I pay an agent when I got the money or I got the credit? Can I just go to the bank and do it on my own? These are questions that people probably got out there. If you got these questions, chime in and ask us. This is the perfect opportunity.
Before you answer
I think the big question is, what's the difference between a realtor and a lender? Because sometimes I think that they think we're the same. And we're not.
And then they wonder, why do I have to pay somebody 6%? When I'm buying something with my own money.
That's a exaggerated number now. It's not that high anymore. But like she said, there's a lane. I got my lane I stay in. She has her lane that stays in. When it comes to the real estate side, that's her profession. That's what she knows. That's her ins and outs.
I know
so
the
she don't get 3%.
I know the people. He gives me the instructions on what type of a house am I looking for these people, because I have 2 different clients. They have 2 different very types of loans. So basically that pre-approval is my instructions on what type of a home can these people get into. What type of a home can these people? They're going to be 2 very different homes, 2 very different areas. So as far as what do you pay me for as a realtor? Okay, you could find a house from a for sale by owner, but who do you think that for sale by owner's for? They're for themselves and to get as much money out of you as possible. They don't know all the guidelines, the rules, the redlining, maybe they don't like you. Maybe they don't want you in that neighborhood. I mean, they're out for themselves, which is all fine and dandy. But if you, I have these houses that sit out there as listings, and the new scam is people are going around and telling people, hey, this is my house and I will rent it to you. Send me the money. People aren't even looking at these houses. They are in it for themselves. And I just had a call the other day. Hey, I just filled out an application for a home to rent it. Okay, well, I normally help people buy and sell, but what can I answer for you? And she's like, well, now they want me to send money. I said, if you haven't seen that home, you haven't even met the person, and you for sure haven't even been in a property manager's office, probably you're getting scammed. For God's sake, don't send them money. But that's where we as realtors come in and try to protect our client. That is a scam, people. Go to these for sale by owners. They're looking out for themselves. They're not going to tell you that there was a flood in that house because they don't even know all the rules and the guidelines.
Buyer beware.
Or liens.
Buyer beware. That's a very good one.
This is Doug Best Show, and we got Mr. Marshawn, Govan, and Linda Peltz. She's an expert in real estate. Marshawn's an expert in real estate and lending and financial things. Somebody out there in the listening audience, you could be anywhere in the world, anywhere in any city. If you got a question, just chime in. This is the perfect opportunity. We all on the social media. Why not be on the social media and get some meaningful information? That's what the Doug Best Show is all about, to add some value to your life. That's why we're doing the show. It's 8:16 here, Friday, and we're trying to share the information. Everybody out there, if you can, Glenn Anthony Board, down there in Southern California with them $1 million homes. You you and Mr. Marshawn, Mr. G should hook up.
So
And go ahead, Marshawn.
I understand. You always throw the I would say the golden ticket, like the Willy Wonka and the chocolate bar out there. That golden ticket, $1 million home. So if someone wants to even buy $1 million home, I cap out at a certain rate. So it's not like you're gonna pay me more money for $1 million home, or you're gonna pay me more money for.
Explain to him what cap out is, though.
I mean, I'm only gonna, my cap is at a certain amount. So once my agreement, my contract, that means if I'm capped at a certain amount that I can make, you ain't gonna pay me no more than what I cap out at. So whether it's $1 million home, a $5 million home, a $10 million home, when I cap, I'm gonna be paid the same amount of money if it was, $1 million, $5 million, or $10 million home. So it really doesn't get me more commission. And two, people save money using a broker because we're able to shop around different rates, different programs, because you save about $10,000 going through a broker. The other thing is there's a real estate laws that's changed. Unless you see an open house, you can't just show up and go into a house and say, hey, you know what? How much is, they're going to not take you serious. You now have to have an agreement signed with the agent, as well as they're going to want to say, well, before they even sign an agreement with, they're going to say, are you pre-approved? Or, I wouldn't even waste my time on pre-qualification, because someone else that's pre-approved, they're going to say, is it underwritten? Has it already got a decision or approval? Because have you verified their assets, their bank statements? Some people might say, show me the bank statements. There's a lot of different, like she said, back office work that goes beyond.
What bank statement? So if somebody's out there, so the bank statements are verifying that you got X amount of dollars in the bank.
Closing funds.
You've had it in there. It's been seasoned.
Correct.
So maybe tell them the difference between a pre-qual. I think people in general just get confused on that. What's
if somebody out there just
qualification letter versus a pre-approval letter versus a pre-approval with underwriting?
It's them online lenders that's either somewhere in Chicago that you don't fill it out online and they gave you this pre-qualification, or somewhere in Alaska somewhere that gave you this pre-qualification letter because your credit met the criteria, but they didn't check your bank statements. They didn't run.
You can tell them anything.
You can tell them anything. You can self-supply the information, and no one has verified and checked your employment, checked your bank statements, ran it through the system to make sure it's an actual approval. Because we got a thing called true approval, which is the same as cash. So if you get a pre-approval that says you're pre-approved, that offer is the same as cash. A pre-qualification does not have that same weight. It's just a piece of paper saying you're credit qualified.
I talked to them, but I kind of blew it out of proportion. But they said I qualify.
And it's
this
automation,
is an
and it's an automation thing.
So for the people out there that's just trying to follow us. So when you go to the bank, then when you get qualified, if you say, I got $50,000 in the bank, and you just put the $50,000 in there last week, they want to know how long that's money.
You're going to have to wait 2 months. You're going to a minimum 2 months.
Okay.
But they just said it's in there. For pre-qual, they may have said, "Hey, I got $50,000 sitting in the bank."
And then what about the daily
here's
average?
my income. I make whatever, $5,000 a week. No, I don't have any child support.
Yeah, we need to check those.
No, I don't owe any taxes. I don't know what you're talking about.
Who checks all this before
but
you
then
get?
They say, well, based on what you just told me, I would say, yeah, you probably qualify. That's a pre-qualification letter. But nobody's checked any of that. And then they go in and they find, oh, I do have child support. Oh, I do owe taxes. Ooh, I don't really make $5,000 a month. If I work overtime, I might make $5,000 or $5,000 a week.
Overstated is what it can be. And who checks it is the lender and the mortgage loan officer. And so, like she said, for the last client we closed the transaction on, there was 3 people on the application. So, and each one of them had an employment history. So we're talking about go back 2-year history. So it was like I'd done 3 applications. They all had employment history. So I had to verify employment for almost 3, 5, 7, 6 jobs. I had to contact each one of them employers, get a verification of employment, tax returns, pay stubs, last job verification of their total earnings, their year-to-date wages and earnings. That's a lot of work. You go through, Equifax work number, True Works. I mean, those are true verifications where they're pulling it. tax transcripts when you do a hard pull on a mortgage inquiry. And that's another thing. If you go online, you're like, why am my phone blowing up? Well, you gave them your credit information. They did a hard pull. So you're going to get like 50 calls.
Talk about confusion.
I'm going to save you from that because I'm going to do a soft inquiry. And if things don't line up, I'm going to also give you that education piece where we're going to go ahead and look at our credit track program. So for $35, I'm going to give you the information to help you qualify for a mortgage loan. That's the difference between a retail and a mortgage broker and what sets us apart. Because a retail is not going to give you the information on how to improve your credit. They're going to say, come back when you have this number. And it's like, well, you don't know what you need to work on. Also, I'm going to give you a copy of your credit report. And it's going to show you what I'm looking at. So you're not going to, and if there's something you don't recognize, then we can go through the process of maybe cleaning it up and disputing it, where they might say, we need to go pay hundreds and thousands of dollars for credit repair. No, if it's attainable and it's within, we can reasonable reach it, then pay it down, pay it off, come to an agreement settlement, or come back in 6 months. Sometimes it takes years for people to get ready for a mortgage. It's not an overnight application and a slam dunk thing. It takes time, and patience.
How much time are they going to put into getting ready?
Correct.
I mean, if they're really gung ho and ambitious, maybe they can be ready in a month. Maybe they can be ready in 6 months. But then again, maybe if you're not, I don't really get it. I don't really care. I just wanted a roof over my head. I don't really want to understand all that. It could take them 5 years. It could take them 10 years to get ready.
Linda. This is Miss Linda Peltz. She's a real estate expert, and we got Mr. Marshawn Govan. He's an expert in real estate and lending. But I'm going to just tell you, if I was just the average Joe Blow out there, and I was listening to you guys right now, and I'm listening to me, somebody out there might chime in, and you might think, somebody's out there probably feeling the same way. Oh, my God, man, I ain't trying to go through all that just to get no house. I just keep renting the house right now.
And that's why there's a system put in.
That's a system
a lot of people out there thinking, oh, my God, man.
That's why you don't want to go to
I thought you was going to make it easy, Doug. We tuned into the Doug Best Show. I don't know what the hell's going on now.
Let me ask you this question. So nothing in life comes easy, right?
Absolutely. And sometimes it do, but it's a consequence.
But what comes to a person in their sleep?
A great dream.
So nothing. If you want to stay asleep and you don't want to be woke financially, then nothing's going to come but a dream. And this is not to knock anyone or put anyone down, but we all have to make our decisions and at one point on what we believe in and what we really want to pursue. Because it's like a relationship.
But what about all the people out there thinking about, they've been listening to, they said, no money down, I could get your house, I could be a billionaire, millionaire, and I could go in the city of New York, and in 2 weeks, I'll be worth another $100 million.
So there's, we're reality.
That, though,
there's
right?
a reality, and then there's, fantasy, or there's, it's some things are too good to be true. And like she said, it's a trade-off. If you want no money down, and I'm going to say negative equity, a negative, you don't put any money down on this home, you're not going to be in some of these programs, you're locked in for 15 years, which means if you sell it or refinance it, you got to pay that. It's a loan. So that no money down is a silent loan or second on your mortgage, where some of them are 15 years. The ones that I have are 5 years. And there's even some of them that if you make payments on time for 24 months, it's forgiven. But the interest rate, but once again, you got to marry the house and date that rate. And you also have to not listen to other people's opinions and look at the facts. I have a book that I wrote in Amazon. It's published on first-time home buyers, unlocking the door. How do you unlock these doors? So if someone doesn't want to pay $14 or, I send them an ebook and take the time to read it, it's there. It's all about financial literacy. I'm going to walk you through the steps. And if you still don't trust what the experts are saying,
of gold right here, people
then
out there
we
listening.
even have
Somebody's listening.
AI. I have an AI that will take your application, your information, and process your loan in my sleep. So I can do loans in my sleep now. the days
artificial intelligence.
the days of the old school ways of doing business, and now we're into the the technology, and like you said, you have to be able to read an email, respond to an email, at least on your phone, fill out an application. If you can do that, you can get a home loan. If you have
Just
an
that simple.
iPad, a Apple phone, an Android phone, and you can complete an application, and you have online banking. So those are some of the things you gotta be able to do.
Or if you want to go old school, you call Marshawn and you said, "Hey, I don't quite understand this. Maybe I can't fill this out. Can I come to the office?" Marshawn can help whoever fill out that application if that's the old school that we need, because they are really confused or really don't know, or maybe they don't know some of the terminology. We can do old school, but there is a system put in place if they're willing to trust it, to simplify it as much as we can and to make it as easy on these buyers as possible in order to get them into a home. Because let's face it, everybody, we'd like to see everybody keep a roof over their head. I get it. There's some people out there that don't, but we would, most of us, especially in our industry, we really do want to see everybody have a roof over their head.
I'm wondering if we got somebody out there. You're on the Doug Best Show, and we talking about real estate. A lot of people they have some questions. But how you guys feeling when you first came in here? How you feeling, Marshawn? And how you feeling? And at first, was you a little tense? You feeling it right now?
We love the
you
industry.
Got your swagger?
So.
I mean, like she said, this is like our second nature to it. And I know, with you, Doug, you're wanting to reach a certain kind of segment of people.
No, I don't want to reach no certain.
But
I want to reach everybody.
You got to have the self-esteem, and you got to have the confidence. You got to believe in yourself, because God has a purpose.
Everybody.
God has a purpose for everyone. And everyone is not destined to be certain things. But at the same time, as long as you're have an open mind and you're able to go through the process and trust that, I'm not going to mislead you or misguide you, because everyone is held accountable. If I'm doing something that isn't up to standard, I don't want to get no fines. They're $1 million fines. And I sure is not going to go and sit in no jail cell for, a couple of $1,000, because that's taking me away from my family, and I'm not going to be put on no one's shelf for 30 years.
And we don't want the reputation.
Exactly.
We are here to protect you. We are here to do the best for you and what you need out of life. But if they don't trust that, then you're right. There's not much we can do for it. So they got to trust. They got to trust the system. They got to trust the players that's involved. And in that particular case, we're the experts. That's where they kind of need to trust. And so if they can't do that, they've already failed at getting into that home.
Yeah, so that's the beauty of it. And I'm loving you guys, Marshawn, for coming here and for Linda coming here. So they come in here, just out of the generosity in their heart and their spirit to come here and to share the information. That's why I would thought that I said, man, if we do a real estate show, we have so many people chiming in and asking so many questions, because I'm sure it's hundreds and thousands of people out there that's wondering, how did this real estate thing go? So, and a few minutes ago, we started with the generational wealth. So the generational wealth is like this. I got 20 homes, and I die, and it passes on to another generation because I did what I was supposed to do. But me, in my case right here, me and that pretty Mexican woman go around the world. We're going to spend up a bunch of money, but I'm sure it's going to be a bunch of stuff left. So what generational wealth is, you got to understand, the basics, financial literacy, and you put all the plans together, and then when you die or when you pass on, it goes to another generation. That's generational wealth in a nutshell. And then go ahead, Marshawn, to tell me what you're thinking about. Who's out there that's got some questions? Chime in. You're on the Doug Best Show with two experts.
So it's like with generational wealth. It has to start with either an elder or somebody that is going to make a wise decision. And we're going to go back even further. We're going to talk about Moses in the Bible. Moses, why did he build the ark? He knew that the flood was coming. And so he gathered as many, people, animals, and everything, right? Noah did, right?
Yeah.
And so, he knew
Moses
that flood.
parted the Red Sea.
He parted the Red Sea,
Go
but
ahead.
but with the ark, he knew that the flood was coming. And just like with mortgage, there's things that we know what's coming in the industry. You see the rates dropping. You see the opportunity is here. You can, like you say, lead a horse to water, but you can't teach him to drink.
But we're going to teach them to drink. That's what we're here
and that's
for.
where people have to change
Sharing
their mindset
information.
and their perception. Because your perception and how you see the world and your reality might be different from my perception and my reality, just like her perception is different on how she sees things. But when people go out and you want to buy clothes, shoes, cars, they're not appreciating in value. We're spending money as consumers making other businesses and other people rich, where if you invest into yourself in a home ownership, you're investing into yourself. You can go and get that home equity loan or line of credit or refinance, cash out. That's what generational wealth means. Investing into yourself and not being a consumer.
Yeah. You want to expound on that a little bit, Linda?
Well, I just think if you need to understand, there is effort into this. I mean, if you're not willing to put the effort into it, we can't do it for them. They have to be willing to put the effort into it. Yes, I mean, you're paying somebody's mortgage. Why not be putting it into your bank account, into your home? That just makes no sense to me. But a lot of it, they don't want to take the time to understand it. They don't want to take the time to maybe do like that financial literacy. He has a great program over there where he can kind of go over, okay, we don't understand something. Speak up. I mean, ask Marshawn. He'll go
we
over
here right now, folks.
the different programs.
It's like once in I don't know if
what
this
is
once in a
what
lifetime.
it, what
but
does this
Jesus
mean,
Christ.
Marshawn? I don't get what this means. He has some great tools and programs that he can send you through, and he'll sit right there with you and help you understand him. Stop it, explain that to me, Marshawn. He'll explain all that to you. But if you're not willing to make the effort to learn it, then it doesn't do any good, because we can't do it for them.
Man,
So-
it's like
so-
driving a car.
So this is why we here. This is why we right here on the Doug Best Show on a Friday night. We here trying to give people, add some real value to the people's life. And so a lot of times you guys see me on the Facebook, and I might be on my job site, I might be aware of it, but I'm showing you real life experiences. This is a real life experience for me. I had the real estate license, but I don't sell houses. And so I build houses. I'm a self-developer, I self-finance, and I don't go to the bank. But I can go to the bank. So this is how the system works. I'm just making a number. Just say I built the property over there, the apartments that I'm building right now, and it's worth $1 million. Just say it's worth $1 million. And I put $400,000 in there. We just talking. I'm teaching you guys out there. This is real life. So this is what this show is all about. We here on a Friday night on the Doug Best Show. We got two experts. Somebody out there want to buy a house, and Marshawn could help you buy the house. You get your tax money, you can go to Marshawn. He gonna help you get the house. I got $4,000. He gonna help you get a house. So, but back to the illustration. We got an apartment complex over there, and this says worth $1 million, and I put $400,000 in it. I could go to the bank and get how much if I went 80%?
80% of $1 million, you're going to $800,000.
So listen to me, folks.
You're doubling your money is what you're doing.
Yeah, you always use, it's 2.5 times your money. So just listen to me. I'm making an example right here. So I build an apartment complex over there. It cost me $400,000 to build. I'm just explaining something to you in real life. This is what the Doug Best Show is all about. I'm teaching you. I'm not finna be like Rick Ross and them and just show you a whole bunch of pretty cars and houses. I'm trying to teach you. I'm trying to add value to your life. You build an apartment complex. It's worth, estimated through the appraisal, $1 million. It's worth that. And then I put $400,000 in it. I go to the bank and they give me an 80% loan-to-value loan. So they give me $800,000. I want you to stay with me in your mind. I'm teaching you right now. That's what this show is all about. So they give me $800,000. I take my 400,000 that I put in there, and I put it on the side so I can build some more. And then that other 400,000, that's profit for me, and I still got $200,000 in equity. And then I got people renting the property, renters, like a lot of you guys are out there, and then they paying the mortgage note. So I walked away with 400,000. I still got the 400,000, my principal that I invested. Then I could go and build again. That's what we're trying to teach you here tonight. So somebody out there, if you got a question, call and ask us. You know, we ain't trying to be boasting and bragging or nothing. I'm just explaining everything to you. So that's why I created this show, so I can add value to the people's life. I can easily go and, you know, be eating some tacos and kick back and watching Netflix.
It is Friday night, people.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah, we ain't going to stay long right now. We're going to go about 5 more minutes, and we're going to wrap it up. If somebody got some questions, Marshawn is an expert on loans. He could get you the money, baby. Tonight, tomorrow, you get his information, and
You're
it might take a
paying
little
your
more.
mortgage,
Yeah.
or
you're
you're
paying-
paying your rent. You might as well be paying a mortgage.
Yeah, so if you
paying
over there,
someone
you paying
else's.
$800, $900, $1,200 a month.
More
for
than that. Every year, the landlord going
Oh,
jack.
my
The
God.
landlord is increasing the rent every year.
I'm a landlord. I
by
get the
5% to 10%, depending on where you live at. It's a 10% increase, and you're like, well, why am I paying $2,000 in a 2-bedroom? Well, once again, it's like Noah. I mean, I'm like Noah in the ark when it comes to real estate. You know, you know that they're raising the rent is coming. It's like the flood. You know it's coming. You're going to get drowned out by continuing to rent because it's going to price you out of the market eventually, where it's not going to be affordable or sustainable. Because at the rate that they're raising the rent, your job is only going to give you maybe $1 a year, maybe 50 cents a year raise on your performance.
You're talking
But
about for your
rent-
hourly rates.
Your hourly rate, but your rent going up hundreds of dollars a year. How is that going to be sustainable?
And they're telling you what the rules are.
Correct.
If you had your own home, you'd be telling your kids what the rules are.
And then if you want to build, we got a program for building your home. Well, you don't have to always go to the bank. I don't want to always say the bank. It's like
No, it's
if you want to build your home, we got a one-time construction loan. You have to have a 700 FICO score, which means once you get the loan, that's it. It converts from a construction loan to a 30-year fixed loan. One-time construction loan, one credit pool, one loan, from building to actually turning it into a loan to a mortgage loan.
That's a huge thing right now in the real estate market is these young ones especially are buying the homes with the ADUs in the back. They're renting out. So I had one client that actually lived in the smaller ADU and rented out the larger home. He was
ADU is
able
accessory dwelling unit. Sometimes they call them a
dwelling,
mother-in-law hookup.
Granny unit.
Granny unit. They actually lived in the smaller one, rented out the larger one, saved enough money, went and bought a second home with another ADU. They chose to live in the bigger house this particular time, and the ADU had already a tenant in there that they kept. And now they're saving money to go do it again. That's a cookie cutter type thing. But those ADUs are really big right now, and they're using them to build their wealth, and they're using them to pay part of their mortgage. And it can count as part of their income, my understanding.
Correct. It reduces their debt to income ratio, because if you have an ADU should get you no more than $1,200 a month. If your mortgage is like, well, some people, well, I don't want to pay a $3,000 mortgage a month. Well, if your ADU is bringing you $1,200, you just don't cut down your mortgage. Now you're paying way less than that. So it makes it more affordable.
But they're really big right now. That is kind of the big. I get a lot of calls on. I'm looking for a house with a second home on the property.
Yeah, so,
She would tell you it's about location. Location, and there's certain things that checks off on the box. I mean,
I can't change the location. I can change many things about a home. I do have a full set of contractors I work with. We can make many changes to a home. I can't change the location, so make sure you like the location of it.
Yeah, Marshawn and Linda. This is Marshawn Govan, expert on real estate, an expert on getting the loans right now. And Linda's an expert on real estate. We're going to put the links at the bottom when we close up here. Just one quick thing here. We see Vice President Kamala Harris. She's talking about the $25,000 first-time home buyers. When Barack Obama came in, I did that $8,500. That's a refundable check that they sent in the mail. I know she's talking about first-time home buyers. She gonna give them $25,000. So if she do become president, and they do pass a law, what she could do, they could give a first-time home buyer $25,000. Just explain to them, just in theory, how that would be. Would you get the money and you got a $25,000 check?
I think it's going to be a refundable credit because there's a lot of already state programs and community loans like the City of Fresno down payment program. You know, they
and there's
offer
only going to be so many available.
So much money before it runs out, and who's going to fund that? And so I believe it's going to be like when you buy a home, you can probably get $25,000 in a refundable tax credit. So, you know, it's not finalized, and so the details is not, you know, Congress has to pass and approve it as well. And so it's pretty much like it's talks in the work, but I think, you know, we're still a long way from there, and you got to look at what you can attainable, what's available right now, what's, you know, what a person can get with their situation, you know, if they wanted to apply today. That's not going to help them in their situation today or tomorrow.
Or can they even get it? Because if they're not fast, boom, sometimes those programs are gone.
Correct.
You know, 2-3 days and they're shut down. Sorry, we've given all our money out. That's it. We're done.
That was the dream for all. That program ran out like 18 days. Now they revised it to $150,000. I mean, some of these down payment programs, Doug, to be realistic, it's if you have a family of 6-7 people, it's going to work for you because it's designed for those bigger homes with a lot of multi-generations living within that home. And I also got programs for our DACA people, our immigrants, our people that are working as aliens.
You saying you have these programs right now?
Right now. I-10, you know, where as long as you got a bank account, we can get these people qualified for mortgages. And so our program is so broad and so defined to each person's situation and demographics and citizenships, whether if they're even not a citizen, as long as they got the income.
I just want to just make sure that everybody out there is understanding that what we're talking about right now. Mr. Marshawn Govan could get you the money, baby. He's saying that, you know.
I'm a broker. I mean, when you say get the money.
No, I'm you're not gonna be able to go over and get a bag of money. What I mean is, you know, you could go to his office, you could contact him. He want me to articulate it better, huh?
Yeah, because I had a conversation.
Be specific, Marshawn, because I would like some money. Can you hand me a little?
No.
I had a real talk though. I had me and my guy. We were talking. He was wanting to refinance. He was like, "This ain't your money." I'm like, "You're right. I'm a broker," but at the same time.
You got access to the different lending institutions.
Correct. And then but if it goes bad, then guess who's responsible to buy that loan? And you don't want me to buy the loan because if you miss the payment, I'm going to foreclose on you.
Yeah, but you have 90 days on the joint.
No, I'm just joking.
Yeah, so we're going to wrap it up, guys. It's been a blast. I hope the people out there that's been watching us, you know, and some people have been chiming in. I see Roddy J chimed in. They said it's a great show. But so, Marshawn, let's just go through, man. Maybe you could 30 seconds to a minute, just tighten everything up and everything, whatever we talked about, and then you do the same. And we're going to thank the people for tuning in.
I mean, if you're interested in learning more about our lending programs, our mortgage loan programs, everything that we talked about, I mean, you know, just go to my website, or our website, which is mkgenterprisescorp.com. It's here. We have a QRS code. If you
that's the camera
if you
there.
just type in MKG Enterprises Corp or Fresno down payment broker, you know, it's going to pop up. You know, go on there and look at the loan programs. It's really user friendly. I mean, if you have a question, go to the chat box, and it's AI. We call it our, Athena AI. It's going to answer your questions for you 24/7. And so if you're serious about it, you want to get your questions answered, you know, go online and just take a test drive and see, you know, what the programs are. And like Doug said, you know, don't listen to other people's opinions. See for yourself. See if it, works for you. Where, like I said, marry the house, but date the rate. Mm-hmm. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Linda.
And if you find me a little more easier to talk to and Marshawn intimidates you, get a hold of me. I'm going to get you right over to Marshawn.
Tell them who you are, Linda, and how they could get in touch.
You can give me a text.
Say the number online.
559-353-4556. Just give me a text if you don't even want to talk to me. Give me a text. Say, hey, I want to get over to Marshawn and get going on this. We'll make contact. You'll have a nice conversation with Marshawn. Like I said, if you want to go old school, you'll go into his office. If you want to do all the new AI and the emails and all that, I've been known to go out and get wet signatures for you guys. So, I keep in mind.
What's a wet signature?
Wet signature is they literally sign with a pen on the paper. I mean, right now, everything is pretty much online, but I have been known, those ones that say, hey, I don't even have an email. Hey, I don't even have I can't do that on my phone. I don't trust the system, right? I've been known to go get those wet signatures. So we can do old school, but everything is right now online. I work with the houses. I work with the people, emotions. I help explain things in layman's term. Marshawn is the numbers guy. He does most of the heavy lifting, to be quite honest. He's the one coming up with that chunk of funds and then giving me the instructions on what I'm looking for. I may be out in the field more, but he's the man to start it. I can't do anything until I get that pre-approval with all those instructions.
Teamwork.
So it's teamwork. And he does a lot of my heavy lifting behind the scenes. But he is quite capable of doing in front of the scenes, as you can see. Mm-hmm. And if you need the old school and you just don't really understand it, go in. Let's talk to him. Get through some of his literacy programs. Help him he'll explain them to you if it's still really confusing to you. But you are paying rent. Everybody is paying rent to keep a roof over your head. It might as well be your bank account that you're putting into your home, your decisions. You're in your rules for that home instead of somebody else's. That's the big thing. The big thing is let's get you where you want to live, and then I can help you fix the house. Marshawn can help you figure out how to pay for it.
And I also think, Doug, if people are never owned a home before, you should take a first-time home buyer's education course, because that will give you a lot of questions to the basics and the one-on-ones into the process.
That's part of the financial literacy.
Correct. And if it's $199, for the home buyer's educational course, because we can tell you everything, but at least you come out of it with a certificate and helping you how to manage your finances, where, do you go during the mortgage process, go out and buy a car or cancel your credit cards? There's certain things that, you want to go ahead and follow certain rules and guidelines. So I think that'll give people, their financial education on home ownership, but then also the one-on-one consultation with me and with the real estate agent to understand their needs and what, their goals are, as well as their credit. And like I said, if you don't have the credit and if you're under a 500, you'll pay a fee, a one-time fee, but I'm going to tell you what you need to do to make the progress to get yourself ready, versus turn you away and tell you to come back, when you get your credit
and
right.
You're still confused.
Correct.
He's going to give you the instructions, but you got to make the first call and get a hold of one of us.
Thanks, guys. That's Mr. Marshawn Govan and Linda Peltz. Both of them are experts in real estate, and Marshawn he does more with the finances than Linda. And guys out there that's listen to us on the Doug Best Show. Man, it's like an honor to sit here, and I was telling somebody earlier about this. It seems like it's easy. We just get in front of the microphone, but I be up studying. I study all kinds of stuff because I want to make sure that I'm competent. When I get on in front of the microphone and get in front of the camera, and make sure that we add some value to everybody's life. And I feel in my heart and in my mind 100% for sure, man. Thanks, Marshawn.
Oh man, thanks again. It's a pleasure, man, for you to take some time out of your day and have us on the show, and at least have this conversation.
And we could do it again. We could do it again.
Definitely, we can do it anytime you want.
Yeah, this is, and you could do it again.
Let's get you into home. That's what we're here for.
Just remember, marry the house and date the rate.
Yeah, guys, so out there, out there in TV land, it's the Doug Best Show, and I hope everybody's been enjoying it. I hope we added some value to your life. And what I need you to do is go to YouTube. Go to YouTube. I got to say this over and over again. I seen Stephen A. Smith with 800,000 subscribers, and I got 200. Stephen,
Hit the subscribe button. I think's what he's trying to tell you.
and
Smash that
push
like
like,
button. Smash that like button for the Doug Best podcast
and share.
show.
And then if man, I'm telling you guys, everybody out there, and this is a promise to everybody, I'm gonna give you 100%. Otherwise, I ain't gonna do it. If I feel like I'm not giving you 100% and I ain't giving you my all, I'll walk away from it. But I'm gonna always do that, and I'm gonna make you proud. Okay, everybody. I'm Doug. I'm your friend. This Marshawn, and this Linda. Okay, baby, let's ride. I'll see you guys soon. Subscribe. We did that. I think we did it.
Okay, can I just get y'all to stand behind him real quick?
What y'all feel though, man? How you feel? How you feel, Linda?
Good, good, good.
Oh, you want to take one with the iPhone?
No, give me your phone, son. Just stand. You stand on the right. Let her stand on the
Whenever my phone now. It's a really lonely place. Eve, open up. I've been a woman in the music industry.
On this side or
Yes. Take a couple of them.
Where you at, Linda?
Right here, man.
I can't see you, huh? So we should have had this up there, my old real estate license.
Okay, I'm gonna take a couple of his phone, and then I gotta get one of my phone with your real estate license. Stay right there.
Is it still active?
Hell no.
Hold it, Doug. Stay right there. Stay right there.
Still on air, Doug.
But can't you get it renewed? You just gotta go to Sacramento, right? You still on there?
No, we off. It just says on air here, though.